Hey guys, it's Drew again. The old Abbott Costello skit goes, who's on first, what's on second, and I don't know's on third. Well, today we're going to revisit the 1956 top set to find out exactly what's on second, and in my opinion, it's nothing short of phenomenal. So let's check it out. So a few weeks ago, I did a little deep dive into some of the photography that was captured in the 1956 top set. I believe the title of the video was called The King of Catches, and it was about different catches that were shown in the action shots in the 1956 top set. It was a really good video. I really enjoyed doing it. It's just fun to go back through it. It's not always about the big guys, although I did show Mantle and Clemente, but it was some of the small guys too. Well, I really thought, how much fun would it be if I kind of take different parts of the stadium and different parts of the baseball game and just what happened and see how that was depicted in the 1956 top set. So at first I thought, I'm going to do infield plays. Well, there were so many cards in that stack, I had to divide it down. So I decided to go down to shots at second base, plays at second base. And I still have quite a stack of cards to go through. So I want to show these off because they're really incredible. And there's only a few stars in here, but they're just really great plays. Now, I want to set this up by making you go back and think. Remember, for the most part, kids are the ones buying these baseball cards, and this is their connection to the game that they listened on the radio. Maybe they were, blessed enough to go to a game or two a year, but for most kids, they didn't. Remember, the farthest west team, and in fact, the farthest south team at that point was St. Louis. There was nothing out west. There was nothing down in the deep south, and there was only the main cities that had. It was only 16 teams, so there were so many kids out there that never got to go see a game, but they would read it in the box score. They would listen on the radio. They got into it, and baseball cards were a huge part of helping visualize what they heard and what they would picture it was like. They were out there on the sandlots. They were out there in Little League. They were playing baseball. But to think about men, major leaguers, at such just an incredible skill level that they could never actually witness, to do what they did, and baseball cards were a great way to show this off. So that's why I love this 1956 set so much. There's just so much nostalgia in it. There's so much history in it. There's just so much play-by-play in action. I remember as a kid listening to games on a radio and just thinking like, oh man, I could picture it, visualize exactly what this happened. And there's no doubt in doing this. So I want to show some of these off because some of them are just incredible. Most of them, are turning double plays, but let's kind of deep dive a little bit and look in. So if this video goes a little long, that's fine. I'm fine with it. If you guys want to turn it off, that's up to you. But first we got Ray Boon, and I'm going to show these off kind of close. So the Ray Boon one is interesting. I mean, obviously there's a double play or an attempted double play is trying to be breaking it up. And one of the things I like to do when I looked at these cards was to figure out the player, is it the person playing the fielder or the runner? And in this case, it looks like Ray Boon is the runner trying to break up a double play. There's a lot of little sort of Easter eggs too in these cards, because a lot of times there's other stars or even Hall of Famers that are in these, and I did find a few, so let's see if we can find them together. But this Ray Boon one is great because it's typical of breaking up a double play. And remember, kids, when they broke up a double play, they weren't doing this. They weren't turning people up on end like that. But the speed at which the major leagues play and played back then was just incredible for a kid to think about. So there's the Ray Boon one. It's a great shot. Next we've got Carlos Paula, and this one's neat because he's just sliding in, and it's not that breaking up or action, but still it's still a super close play as he's trying to slide in. Whether he's trying to slide in on an attempted steal and the shortstop or second baseman is trying to put the tag down, or he's just trying to get ahead of the throw, trying to not get doubled up somewhere. But this is a great one, showing a great slide. Kind of got the hook slide. His other leg looks like it's kind of bent behind him, just trying to avoid that tag. But here's another really cool one. Next we have Chuck Darering, and this one's interesting because a couple of reasons. So again, he's sliding in, probably trying to avoid a play, but look closely at who he's playing. Obviously, Chuck Darering is the guy on the ground sliding, so that looks like a Yankee. Well, the middle infielders of the Yankees were either Billy Martin or Hall of Famer Phil Rizzuto. I think this one was Phil Rizzuto. There's another one coming up that I think was Billy Martin, but I think this one was Rizzuto. So there's a common player with a Hall of Famer on it, just for a little bit of a look. Next is Hall of Famer Eddie Matthews. And I've shown this card before, and you probably know this, but this is a great picture of him breaking up a double play, or trying to, and it looks like the shortstop has already thrown off got the throw off to first. Don't know if he was safer out at second or at first, but look closely on the ground. Well, that's Pee Wee Reese, another Hall of Famer. So you've got two Hall of Famers on one card, and two great players on their teams. Both of them just, phenomenal for what they did for their teams in that era. Both of them won World Series in the 50s, and they didn't play on the Yankees to do so. So just a great card, and I love this card, not just because of Reese, but just a great action shot of Eddie Matthews. And then, of course, we do have Phil Rizzuto on his. And this one's an interesting one because this Phil Rizzuto, it looks like, my guess is from where the picture was taken was he's probably trying to tag the runner coming in on an attempted steal. But to me, it looks like the ball got away from him, from the catcher coming in, and he had to sort of lean back. My guess is that somewhere over back in here is where the bag would be, and he's trying to catch the ball and swipe it back to get the runner out or try to get him out. But again, it just shows the action, the speed at which the plays took place and still take place, and it's just a great visual image of it, and another really cool one. Roy McMillan is the next one, played for the Reds. And just as a note, if you didn't know this back then, and I didn't know this until I was an adult playing with baseball cards, but the Reds at that point had changed their name to the Redlegs because of the Soviet scare, and they didn't want to be associated with the Reds. So if you didn't know that, now you do. If you do, well, you heard it again. But anyway, there's a great one. Of course, this one, the throw is already off, and he's looking back. Probably was out at second, turning the double play, but he's looking back to see if the runner at first made the throw. So again, you can visualize more than just what is on the picture. You can actually think, okay, this had to happen because of whatever, and you can actually see what's going on in the entire play, even though it's just one little snapshot of what's going on. So that's a really cool one. This is another great one, and this is one of my favorite players from the 50s. And this is Minnie Minoso. And I actually have another copy of this in much better shape. This is sort of my placeholder in my set. But this one's really cool because he's going in on a slide, but I mean, he's both feet up in the air. I mean, he's sort of like diving in with his feet to break up that play. And again, look at who's playing, but that definitely looks like Phil Rizzuto. So again, you have another Hall of Famer on a Hall of Famer's card. And just a great picture and a great slide, and just it shows the sort of the power, the determination of Minoso in this play to get in there, to actually be airborne, to go in for the slide. So really another cool one. Next we have Tommy Carroll, who played for the Yankees, and this one he's actually sliding in, and again, same thing. It looks like the play had already turned, and he's about to roll over and look back to see, is the runner at first safe or out. But another great one. This one, they included some of the dirt and sliding up, and again, it just gives that sort of that earthy feel to know, the dust and the dirt that took place when you played baseball. Love this one. Love this one. This is Gene Baker from the Cubs, and this one is great because he's sort of jumping up over, and again, the great picture of the dust and the dirt. The player on the ground is like opposite of what the Minoso was, and the fact that he's flat out on the ground and he's jumping over top of him to turn that play. And safe or out, I don't know, but it's still a great picture. It just gives a great imagination. And this is one of my, well, if you know, you know, but you know how I feel about Billy Martin. But this is a good one. Again, shows the dust. He turned the double play or the attempt at it, and now the runner's already coming up and looking back. And there's so many of these that show that, where, the play was not over when the play at second. I mean, it's still continuing on at first base, and they're looking at the umpire. They're looking at the first baseman. They're looking at the runner's foot to see if they made the tag, and all eyes are on what's happening at first now, even though this snapshot is going on in the middle of the infield. So there's the Billy Martin. Next is Jim Small, and of the Tigers. And I found this one interesting. This is just a play. He's trying to tag out a runner coming in. Obviously, that's Jim Small. I mean, he's got the Tigers logo, and you can see it on his hat. That's him, but Jim Small was an outfielder. So my question is did he just happen to be playing in the infield that day? Or maybe he somehow snuck in behind and was trying to a pickoff move, to get a guy leaning at second base. It doesn't happen much anymore, but that did happen, where it'd be a sneak play where a center fielder might try to come in and try to get a guy that was leaning. And is that what happened here? I don't know, but still, when you start to examine and look at the cards one by one and start to think what scenario would have to be happening for this to have happened. So kind of an interesting one with Jim Small. Next we have Johnny Temple. And this one's interesting because, again, there's some kind of confusion going on. You've got both of the fielders looking in one direction. You've got the runner looking in another direction. The umpire is looking down at them. Maybe this was a rundown play. That's my guess, is that there was a rundown and they're going back and forth. And the tagging one, they're looking to see is there other runner advancing or coming back. And again, you kind of have to build the whole story of what was going on just by watching this. So there's a really neat one, too, just because it's different than a lot of the other ones. And then we've got Gil McDougall from the Yankees. And this one's great because, again, you got the runner coming in. It's very typical, and he's turning the double play or attempting at it. But still, really kind of a neat one. And it shows a different one because it's not Billy Martin or it's not Rizzuto, but actually Gil McDougall playing second base. And it's listed at second or third base up there. Pretty young in his career. Then we've got Pete Reynolds. This is a good one, too. And I like this one because this one actually shows the ball midair after the throw. So same play, slides in, turning the double play, but this one they actually caught the ball or pictured the ball in the air, leaving his hand. And it kind of, the way it's blurred, it shows the speed, again, of the ball, the throw that has to happen to be able to try to turn that play. But this is a really great one, too. Going kind of fast because there was a lot of these. I think there's about 25 or 30, but here's another one, and I like this one because as opposed to some of the other ones, like I'll go back to this one. The way the picture is, it's very blurred, but when you look at this one, it's very clear, and that's not the registration of the card. That's just the way that the photograph was, and then the way that they colored in. And but this is a great one because it's just so clear. You can clearly see Boston on his shirt. You can see almost the B on his hat. Again, the ball in the air and the slide of the runner coming in. So this is a really cool one, too. Dale Mitchell, that's who we've got next, from the Cleveland Indians. So I don't want to make sure I ever do a video without mentioning something with Cleveland, just for those who care. But great one because this is sort of a tumble. I mean, obviously another double play, but they're sort of tumbling over top of each other. Kind of reminds me of the Eddie Matthews one where he took out Pee Wee Reese. He's taking out the runner, all the dirt that's coming up. And I want to say he may have been safe on this one because, he's popping up a little bit more, but I honestly don't know. But a great picture, great action shot, just shows the rough and tumble of that play. Jim Gilliam of the Dodgers, this is another really cool one. This one's kind of different than the last one because he's actually sort of sidestepping. He's not able to take him out. The runner wasn't able to take him out, so he sort of sidestepped to get the throw off to first base. But here's a really neat one of Jim Gilliam. And then we have Jim Dick, a couple of Jims in a row. And this one's interesting because you can actually see his knee down blocking. He's trying to block the runner from reaching his hand around. So again, was this a play where he's diving back in? I don't know what he's looking at. Is he looking at his hand to see if his hand made it to the bag? Is he kneeling on his hand? I don't really know, but his focus is not on the runner. It's not on the ball or in his glove, but actually turned around looking behind him. And again, was he safe? Was he out? I don't know, but again, it shows a different part of the play for him to be able to try to block it with his knee like that. Next, we've got Hal Narrigan, and this one's really neat because again, he's jumping up, he's trying to tag, probably again an attempted steal of second base, and throw was a little high. We've seen the play, a bang bang play where they reach up and have to jump over and reach down and tag. And if you've ever tried to do that, that is not easy to do, to keep all those things in line at once. But on this play, in this card, in this moment in history from 60 years ago, it looks like Hal Harrigan really knew what he was doing to be able to try to make that play. So really, really kind of cool. Then you've got Jerry Coleman, another Yankee. And this one, same thing, sort of like the Jim Gilliam where he sidestepped and jumped over to get the throw off. This one's sort of interesting because the direction of which he is, I'm trying to picture where the camera was because it almost looks like he's throwing it to third base, maybe because of the way the field is. But maybe it's they reverse the negative. I don't really know, but it's kind of a different view because it looks like the play should be going in this direction from second to first, but it looks like it's coming from second back towards sort of my direction, like to third. But I don't know. But again, when you start picking them apart, it becomes kind of cool to see that. Next, we have Bobby Morgan. We only have a couple left, but let's see, Bobby Morgan. This one's kind of neat because again, it doesn't. It's sort of just a generic play. But what I think is cool about this is it's got the umpire who's at this point he's in the way. You can't really see is he safe or out. You got to assume that his foot's in if his hand is up there with a glove. But the umpire is just right there, viewing where he's supposed to do and seeing that. And again, there's more involved in a play than just the batter or the runner or the fielder. I mean, the umpires are out there doing what they're supposed to do too. And here's a great chance to take a peek at that, just like the umpire is peeking in to see if he was safe or out. And then the final one that I picked out is Rube Walker. And the Rube Walker one is kind of interesting. Of course, if you know about the rivalry between the Giants and the Dodgers, especially back then in the 50s in New York, this is clearly a Giant playing second base, and Walker's coming in for the slide. Did he take him out? Was it a dirty play? Did it end up, creating some sort of controversy or frustration, or was it just a bang bang play? I don't know, but still, when as a little kid, when you're looking at this, if you were a Giant fan, you're like, oh, that dirty Walker, or if you're a Brooklyn fan at that point, are you like, oh, did he get him? And you're always thinking the good guy, bad guy scenario. That's this little kid mindset that you had or would have had looking at these cards. So anyway, I just thought I'd pull those out. And I really like this. I think I'm going to do a couple of series. There's a bunch of them of plays at the plate. There's a bunch of them of plays at third. And of course, there's post shots. There's ones with great pictures of the outfield or the different stadiums that the pictures were taken in. And so you could really do a deep dive. If you don't have any 1956 Topps cards and you're interested, when you're at a show or go online, just buy some beaters of some commons. They're not that expensive. You could probably spend $20, get a handful of them, and just see what you can find out. If you do have some, take a moment to go back and look through them, just to explore. Just try to figure out what it is that you can find out and sort of visualize and put yourself in the place of that little kid sitting in front of a radio, flipping through his cards, trying to figure it out. But anyway, it's been a lot of fun going through these things. I know this is a much longer video than I normally do. If you stuck around this long, I really appreciate it, as always. But until next time, you guys be good.